every once in a while I thought I'd shoot at somebody I saw, but the possibility of my hitting the guy was very, very low. And then finally I figured that we were both shot at the same place, so I crawled away from there. But I didn't do much movement. Then at night, when it was dark, I hear these voices coming, and I see the white, looked to me like white uniforms. So I had my rifle, I had the other fellow's rifle. So I got ready to shoot him, and I heard that they were the ones who were going to rescue me. They tore up some sheets from the farmhouses there, and they were wearing sheets. Oh, they were like ponchos they made out of it. Yeah, there were 3 of them, I think. And so they yelled at them, and they came over. And then what they did, they took, I don't know how many rifles, 1 or 2 rifles, and I sat on the rifles, holding my hands on the 2 shoulders of 2 of the fellows, and the third one tried to keep me from falling backwards. Okay, we go down the hill, and we get to the first operating post, and one of the fellows says, "Can I have your galoshes?" I was wearing really new good galoshes I had gotten, I don't know where I got them. And I said, "Yeah, but there's a hole in the bottom." They said, "No, there isn't." Apparently the bullet had come in about my thigh level, but it severed the nerve. And the nerve felt like it was coming in from the bottom of my foot. I said, "Sure, you can keep." And then I said, "Can you get in touch with Jack with me?" Jack, my friend Jack Shapiro. And they said yes. So Jack ultimately came, and he said, "Get in touch with his wife and the kids." I said, "Sure." I said, "I'll be back soon." But the thing is, once you're wounded in the knee or leg, they keep sending you farther and farther back because the recovery time is too long. The whole idea is to fix you up and get you back to the front. And with your leg band, they kept sending you back with whatever instructions they had to do it. And then finally they put you all in one of these inflatable, like tents, I guess they would call it, which are inflatable and have air conditioning and which the doctors can use for operating or just as a storage area for wounded people. And when the whole thing got filled with wounded veterans, wounded soldiers, whatever you want to call them, they would try to get them to a larger area. They would send down a larger thing. Now Ruth wanted me to tell you what happened after they picked me up. They picked me up, and remember we're in the hills now in Luxembourg. They picked me up and they took me to what looked like a flat plain, a little flat area there. Maybe it was a schoolyard or something. It was flat. And I see that they have a Jeep there. Now, the Jeep has little lights, headlights, but they had slits in them, so you couldn't see much of a beam or anything, just a little slit. And I saw that this fellow was on top of the radiator holding one stretcher. So he said, "How many more do you have?" They said, "One." They said, "The other guy's dead." He said, "Okay." So he made a mark. Apparently the quartermaster took care of all the bodies, and we get the name tags and all that stuff. So he said, "Okay." So they get me on top of the Jeep. Now this is really funny. This fellow's lying down on top of the radiator, and he's holding on to 2 stretchers, me and this other guy. And they're going downhill now. So we're going downhill, and then suddenly the Germans set up flares, green flares, like in the movies or the Christmas or holidays, where it was green flares, and very very bright, considering that how they didn't know where we were. They just shot them up. The people they stopped the Jeep, and the fellow from the top of it jumps off and leaves us 2 on top of the radiator head, and he goes to something like that. And then it takes about 8 to 10 minutes, this is a big flare, for the thing to suddenly die down. As soon as it dies down, he comes back again, we go down a little farther down. They shoot another one, this time he goes under trees, the guy from the top of me. So I said, who's rescuing who? He said, come on back. So finally he comes back and he gets down, and we get into this Jeep. Now this, we're going downhill pretty steep actually, considering that it was winter and we don't even have any real hold on the thing. And then, but he got us there, and we finally get to this larger area, and apparently these are medical areas where they follow protocol, depending what's happening, whether your arm is wounded or your leg. Legs, they put in an area, they kept pushing me farther and farther away. So I said, well, why are you pushing me so farther? He said, well, that's our instructions. And the next thing I remember, I was in a big tent, and there were two nurses who were, I guess, assigned to me, and they gave me sulfa pills. We didn't have penicillin, and they said, you got to take this 3-liter bottle of water, you got to drink this thing here because of the sulfa pills. So I said, okay. Then one of the nurses said, I wonder what he looks like. So another one came over with a razor and shaved me, and the only thing I remember hearing was, after they finished shaving, they said, oh. That was my recollection, oh. And then they kept, as I say, kept sending me farther and farther away from the front. The front was interesting because every time you were in battle or combat or whatever they ought to call it, they kept accumulating your food. So that if you were in combat for 10 days, there was 10 days worth of food ready when you came back. In other words, canned juices and turkey and whatever it is. So in other words, there's piles of food. And meanwhile, they had given us these little K rations, C rations with us. But when we went back, the regular food was there. So we could take anything we wanted if we wanted it. And as I remember, a canteen of beer or a canteen of wine was 12 centimes, or was that? So for 12 cents or something, you got pretty good wine or pretty good beer actually. And the meals were, we had all this food, you know, big 2 half-gallon cans of juice, you know, and just stacked up there. This was our meals. And as more and more got wounded, you got more and more food there, you know. So I remember that before we went into combat, we stayed in a castle. I don't know what it was. It was a big house. And the lady there was very nice to us. She said, would you like some, was it hot milk and honey or something in honey? So we said yes. And it was the first time we had honey and milk for a long time. Yeah, because
sounds
milk is very hard to get over there. Eggs are very hard to get there. And the first ones I had was on the rescue ship taking us back. But before that, we went from they kept putting us into special tents. In other words, the ones with the leg injuries would go in a special tent. And then when they get the tent filled, they would either send you to Bristol or some other place across the water.
There's something that has to be noted here, and that is that Jerry's talking about towards the front and away